There is a lawsuit in Magic the Gathering about cards worth over $500,000, and the defendant, Brian Nocenti himself. It's suggesting breach of contract and damages just shy of $500,000. Defendant's testimony that he resold the collection to buyers in a Whole Foods parking lot for $135,000 cash in July 2018 has no record of this sale is not credible. Judgment is entered in favor of plaintiff Michael Ruggiero and against defendant Brian Nocenti on the breach of contract claim in count 1 of the complaint in the amount of $36,190.
What do you have here?
I have a sealed
You know who that is?
Punch Out.
Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Yeah, it's Brian
Awesome
Nocenti.
game.
So many people
So look,
remember.
Denise Kahn, founder. He's a shareholder of Wada Games, and it's a Wada graded game. Isn't that like, that's called conflict of interest?
It really only takes 2 people to determine the value.
Exactly, and these 2 people are working together to fake out the value. They just said it on national TV, it only takes 2 people to determine the value. It's a complete fluff piece. Alright. Welcome to FaBled Hunters.
I'm Yuanji,
I'm Saint.
and today we're gonna open up another can of worms.
Another can of worms. Those viewers that have seen our episodes from the early days know that I was involved in uncovering some of the fraud in PWCC, pre-war cards and collectibles. I had actually proven first on the Facebook groups and then to eBay, and then via emails, and then via cooperation to 3-letter agencies of the federal US government that PWCC was conducting fraudulent activities. I had covered the story that was first brought up by Carl Jobst about the heritage auctions and Wada Games, pump and dump scheme on the graded video games. If you look at graded video games right now, you'll see that many of them, most of them, have dropped past 90% of their values at the peak, having proven that it was a pump and dump. Obviously, we covered Magic 30 and other, vile acts by Hasbro and WotC. We've also done the whole FedEx video about FedEx being unethical and literally stealing from their customers. We've done, Channel Fireball stuff in the past, even some certain grading companies, which I've promised not to really dig up, have had problems, and we've uncovered it all. Fortunately, some changes have been made. Unfortunately, most of the aforementioned have not changed their stripes. And normally, I wouldn't be doing a video of this nature, especially again about heritage auctions, especially again about Magic the Gathering. But I mean, I just can't avoid it. I think some people just really don't get it. They think they can get away with anything. I literally received this in my mail. And I don't know, Yuanji, I don't know if you find anything offensive with this catalog about what's happening March 24th to 25th, upcoming soon after the filming of this video. Do you see anything questionable about this yet?
I mean, who's Jeff Ferreira?
Well, Jeff Ferreira is the agent of, former agent of the late Christopher Rush.
Okay.
He was, for over 20 years, regarded to as a figure, a public figure, and a respected figure within Magic the Gathering. But, I mean, this is just a level of narcissism, like apex narcissism, just like a grifter move, where he is, in my opinion, pumping and dumping assets. And there's so many levels of interconnected bad faith, omission of information, just general malfeasance here, and conflicts, multiple layers of conflicts of interest that I would love the public to really be notified about. Hopefully this video gets released before the auction, because somebody that spent 20 years building their reputation, this is another instance where you can just destroy all that goodwill with a couple of bad faith acts. You know, and again, CGC is a grading company that I don't approve of. I was actually solicited to purchase CGC at the 800 million valuation range, you know, a couple of years ago. And they ended up, I consulted some groups who asked me if they were a good buy. I advised against those buys, and they were in the 800, 880 million range. I think they got passed on by almost every single private equity group except for when Blackstone, like one of the worst of the bunch of private equity companies, scooped them up around $510 million. The transaction was public, but the actual closing price was said to be just slightly over 500. I've heard 510, I've heard 505, I've heard it's complicated. And I mean, back to this whole Jeff F thing. Like, when CGC was doing a collection called the Joel Mick Collection, like, I'm okay with that. Look, Joel Mick's name is literally in the alpha manual. He's right up there in the alpha manual. And okay, he's involved with the game of Magic the Gathering. But Jeff Ferreira, like, seriously, like, do you really have to be that narcissistic that you want to, you know, you want your name there and you actually think other intelligent collectors will value your name on a slab?
Yeah, where's the St. Hung collection?
Yeah, do you see me doing St. Hung collection? No. Or do you see, you know, Michael Jordan's agent, you know, representing, saying, oh, look, it's Michael Jordan's agent's collection or Kobe Bryant's agent's collection? Please, get the fuck out of here. Let's move on. And here's a video showing some of the malfeasance and some of how unethical this whole operation between Jeff Ferreira, Heritage Auctions, CGC has become.
All right, so we have we're gonna do a react.
Yeah, let's just take a look.
This is the first time that I'm seeing it. Shane said there's like another episode of Pawn Stars. This is just...
Yeah, another episode of Pawn Stars. And Pawn Stars is involved too. Just like you saw the Brian Nocenti episode where he was pumping and dumping that Mike Tyson's Punch-Out game that he was advertising at $50,000. I think you couldn't even sell it on the open market for $5,000 right now. So here is another example, and we're hopefully getting ahead of it before it actually gets released into the market.
All right, let's take a look.
Let's go.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
What do you have
Chumley
here?
again.
I have an Alpha Black Lotus illustrated by Christopher
It's a
Rush.
Black Lotus.
All right, Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
The trading card game that started it all.
It did start it all.
Oh, he's Jeff. That's Jeff F right there, right? He doesn't identify or say anything about being the agent of Christopher Rush. Just, oh, this is a card. I have it. Let's continue.
The creator of the game wanted to make a board game, but Wizards of the Coast, which was the company making them,
Right.
thought it was going to be too expensive.
They're just talking about the
Yeah,
background.
Chumley is actually introducing the card game. I doubt he actually has that much knowledge. He's probably reading from a script.
I might have played Magic once or twice, but not very much. But I definitely know about the Black Lotus. It's very iconic. It was one of those...
Of course, it's CGC graded, right?
So I started playing Magic when it first came out. Was never lucky enough to get a Black Lotus. It's super rare. But I was able to buy one later, and I've saved it all these years. I've had this one for since probably 1996.
Let me just see if I understand the situation. So, at least Jeff is being presented as just like a regular collector.
Just a regular guy. Doesn't mention that he's an agent of Christopher Rush. Doesn't mention that he has consummate knowledge of Magic the Gathering. And another key piece of information, doesn't mention he is affiliated with CGC whatsoever. Just Joe Schmo with an Alpha Lotus.
Well, you haven't mentioned... So, you're saying that Jeff is affiliated with CGC?
Well, we're going to show something shortly after this. This is a couple-minute clip, right?
Okay.
I am looking to sell it, and I think I'm asking a fair price at $85,000.
Is that like a normal price for like an Alpha Lotus? Like,
I think it's around there. Yeah.
like ungraded.
An ungraded, light played, whatever. 85's a little on the high side, but I would argue that he's not trying to actually sell this. He's trying to do a little fluff piece for his asset and for CGC.
I still would like to have someone come over and take a look at it. Matt, my guy from CGC, is actually here in the crowd right now.
I'm totally fine with that.
Okay, so yeah, let me text him.
No, let me text him. You guys probably shared the same car ride in.
I bet he's gonna flip his lid when he reads that text.
You do not see these every day. These are pretty rare.
Hey, Joe.
Matt Quinn, senior grading guy. Yeah, he's the general manager of grading for CGC.
Alright.
I know him.
All right, immediately I have some questions. So like, the first things first.
Yep.
Like usually when they call like an expert or whatever to like verify, like normally like let's say like if you have, I don't know, like an antique gun, whatever.
Yeah.
From the Civil War.
Yep.
You get like somebody who is like either into like heavily into like collecting, like authenticating.
An industry expert.
Sure.
Right? Like if it's a Smith & Wesson, you're not going to get the guy from Smith & Wesson to authenticate and talk up his own product, right?
Yeah, that's my, it's like, why? I mean, they got like a Beckett person, a PSA, whatever.
Yeah, or just a consummate third-party professional from one of the largest dealers.
Yeah, something like a
somebody
big dealer.
From, yeah, exactly. Somebody from like Card Kingdom or MTG Seattle.
That would have made
I believe
sense.
it more, but same thing. This show, Pawn Stars, had Brian Nocenti as the seller, and they invited the president CEO of Wada Games to discuss the Wada Games asset. Right?
Yeah, so
same deal. Same line of logic
a little suspicious right now.
And here brought in the holy grail of Magic, Black Lotus.
That's a beautiful card right there. I mean, you can't get better than that with Magic the Gathering. For the limited edition alpha set, there was 1,100 made.
2008, actually. It changed.
I mean, I think these...
His data's not up to date.
So they're just like talking about making sure that the product is legitimate.
Exactly.
Alphas will have a certain registration of the 0 up here, where it's a little bit to the right.
I mean, I think these are all like
this is all true information. Yeah, he's right about the registration and whatnot.
I think that's kind of like I would say like the more dangerous thing. Being
that he's exactly. He's incorporating real industry intel and obfuscating the fact that this is an insider job.
It's like it's dressed up very nicely.
Yeah, the sheen is great. This is wonderful marketing, but it's dishonest as hell.
That's the number one thing I look for.
Do you mean people shave the corners?
Sure. Yeah, they'll actually take the corners and make them look.
That's true. Yep. I've got no problem with that. This guy's a professional. Is he good at his job? Thankfully, I'd hope so, that it's graded right. I've got my concerns about grading with CGC, which I've personally never graded my own assets at CGC for good reason.
70,000 is a more safe number to buy it.
He's not wrong. 70,000 is safer. It's a better deal for a CGC 6.
All right, well, what do you think about what he said? Do you agree?
I think 85,000 is actually a pretty fair market price for this card.
Okay, and you're pretty firm on that, it sounds like?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it'd be really tough for me to come down on that. I think these are just going to go up.
And you know, I understand that a card like this, you kind of ask for what you want. Beautiful card, thanks for bringing it in, but at $85,000, I'm going to have to pass because I really, truly enjoy my job, and I think this would be the final thing to get me fired.
I understand it. It's bittersweet for me to even put it up for sale, so I appreciate it.
Bittersweet. Oh, all the diction. These guys should read a Shakespeare play or something. Okay,
well,
you already have your concerns. Welcome your feedback here so far.
I think I mentioned this like the last time while we were filming the whole Brian Nocenti thing.
Yep.
I think I said this to you where I thought when we were filming it that I thought it was like kind of weird how like the way that it's all set up is kind of just like it's like a play.
Yeah.
Like a stage.
They're just sharking people. And speaking of Brian Nocenti, he's involved in promoting this whole Jeff Ferreira collection, right? And he's actually there doing a roadshow helping Jeff, thinking that he'll actually bring credibility. I mean, somebody that's been found guilty in civil court of fraud and was involved in over $600,000 of malfeasance and, you know, backing out of such a large Magic deal and having it been published, having, you know, been charged with that. Yeah, he's still cooperating with Heritage Auctions. I mean, and then Heritage itself, aside from this bullshit pump and dump, aside from the graded video games pump and dump, the owner, Jim Halpern, was also found guilty of doing pump and dumps with the graded coins and other collectibles in his past career. So there's like a whole chain, a provenance chain, so to speak, of malfeasance and of bad faith actors, just bad actors in general, doing a lot of no bueno.
Yeah, like I said, like I think the biggest issue that I have with like the whole Pawn Stars like thing is that okay, he's coming up there, he's like presenting. Usually, like if somebody's actually like trying to sell something, they negotiate. Like he says his price, they talk about it. I didn't get the sense that he
wasn't really trying to sell it. It was going for a little bit high. He didn't need the money. He was just doing a fluff piece. And the obfuscation and the conflicts of interest are that he's not actually you know, he's not being genuine or forthright about all of that intel.
Well,
right?
also, it's like, I don't know. So I've actually like watched some clips from Pawn Stars in the past, and usually it's like if somebody's like trying to sell something, like they'll call an expert. Usually the expert is there to just like verify if like the card is like, or not the card, like the
asset, the antique
is real.
Yep.
Then like the person has like an asking price, then they'll like come in. It's usually like around like half or whatever, and then they'll like negotiate up or down. And then here, like the CGC guy came in and was like, oh, it's worth $70,000.
$70,000. It was a setup. Yeah.
And then Chumley seems like, okay,
okay, $70,000. I'll just give you $70,000. Exactly. It's all set up. It's all paid advertising.
I don't know. That to me just like feels the most disingenuous.
Well,
as an outsider.
Speaking of disingenuous, let's get into this next clip. I mean, we got to talk about disingenuous. This is at the Magic 30th convention, which preceded, as far as I know, the filming of the Pawn Stars show.
All right, this is from one of your favorites.
Yeah, Mr. Vintage Magic himself.
Oh, CGC, here we go.
Oh, look, CGC. And this isn't set up, this is just, you know, real life, going in, CGC trading cards. There you go.
There he is, guys. The beautiful, good looking. You made it through the hurricane. How's it going, buddy? How was the hurricane? Tell everybody.
Look familiar, right?
Yeah, I mean, like this is what it was. He was like the senior.
Yeah, like the general manager of grading, basically, and a Blackstone employee of a soulless, you know, gutless, heartless private equity firm, one of the worst in the world. You know, what type of ethics do you expect from individuals like this?
All right, guys. Thank you, Matt. We're at the Magic 30 CGC booth. Thank you again. Submit their cards to them. They're awesome.
Submit cards to them? Please don't.
Old friend of mine, Jeff Ferreira, legend.
A friend of mine, Jeff Ferreira. Is that a CGC trading cards shirt? Is that the same person that didn't identify as the agent of Christopher Rush and an employee of CGC manning the CGC booth?
Alright, now I kind of understand where you're going with this. Okay. I have now a lot of issues with the first video.
Yeah?
Because, like, okay, I think that usually, like, when you go on to these shows or whatever, like, I honestly don't really have much of an issue with people trying to, like, advertise or promote, like, things that they're trying to sell, like, whatever, like, sure, that's all fair game, you know?
Yeah, it's selling, but there's some integrity here, and this guy's supposed to be a public figure who's leveraged his reputation for over 20 years in the Magic community, right?
So I guess like my issue with it, so I don't have like a ton of experience with like the legal or like business ethics.
Yeah, I'm not saying this guy's going to jail.
No.
Yeah, well, he won't. This is not regulated by any governing committee. You know, the SEC is not going out to grab Jeff F. I'm just saying, hey, look, this is the state of Magic the Gathering today. I'd argue this is the state of other TCGs, but I'd also argue that it's probably the worst in Magic. The level of obfuscation, the level of bad faith, the shilling, you know, the poor information and the lies that are out there, and the hustles that these multiple companies, whether it's Heritage, whether it's Pawn Stars, whether it's CGC, whether it's Hasbro with their Magic 30 and, you know, betraying the public. This is all coming together to basically, you know, lie to the collectors out there and to trick them. And the smart collectors, the whales, they're all out. The people that were willing to invest part of their net worth into Magic the Gathering are out because of this, all of this.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, so like I'm not too familiar with business ethics, but I do know, since I did some
business classes.
Well,
right?
No, I was gonna say I worked for a while as a medical researcher.
Okay.
And so like you get into these situations all the time when you're doing like medical research or people are giving presentations on data. Like a lot of the times, like if the research is good, if the information is good, then there's marketability, okay, to the ideas. But always, like before every presentation that's given out, like the very first thing that you have to do, or that I think you actually have to do it, like for research, So you have to disclose any like financial ties.
Yeah.
It's called like reporting conflicts of interest.
Absolutely.
So you have to report anything, just because like every time I say something and I'm representing like the truth.
Yep.
Like other people have to make decisions off of it. Need to know that if I stand to gain like benefit from the things that I'm like saying.
That's why the moment we signed an agreement, I put my name on it with Beckett. We announced that we were Beckett official partners, official partners with the branding, with the logos, everything. And we're not even making money. I'm actually giving money to Beckett. I'm getting a discount
what a
for grading, right? That partnership, I'm giving more money to Beckett for a discount, but I have to disclose it. I'm a consultant for PCG grading. And in exchange for consulting with them, once in a while I get a free batch, especially when there's a special purpose for the batch. And that's it. And I'm not even making money off of these slabs, right? And here, this guy is literally putting his name out there and plastering it all over the place like he's some actual, in fact, Magic celebrity. But this is criminal behavior. This would be criminal behavior in a regulated market.
So I think the issue that I have with the Pawn Stars video is that it's presented, like, he's just presented as Jeff, like a Magic collector.
Like everyday guy, right?
Yeah, and so, especially like if you're trying to sell like a CGC graded like object, if you're working with CGC, I think these are all things that have to be disclosed.
There's like so many different tiers of, you know, so many conflicts of interest that aren't disclosed, and this is true disingenuousess.
If he was selling like a regular, like an ungraded Lotus or whatever, I wouldn't really have much of an issue.
That'd be very different. But even then, with a signature on it, I'd say, hey, I'm the guy's agent. That's why I know it's legit.
By the way, legend, you're still in California, right?
I'm still in California.
Just working with CGC, helping out, one of the industry experts. Good seeing you, buddy.
Good seeing you,
man. So Jeff was like the OG artist proof agent. He was the agent for Christopher Rush.
Agent of Christopher Rush, right? And he's nodding. That's all true when he's at his booth.
And you also have your own card shop, too.
And a card shop owner. There you go. You don't have to disclose that because that's probably prior, but you know, that's material information. That's where we're at. And you've kind of said your piece. I mean, this is Magic today, and vintage Magic is dropping. You know, all the whales are getting out. Alpha Hoarder just made a video that's got thousands of views. Whales are getting out. This is part of the reason, because the only people still promoting Magic the Gathering, the people shilling, are the people, you know, trying to plaster their names and create authenticity. This is collection of Jeff Ferreira, signature verified by Jeff Ferreira, employee Jeff Ferreira. So he could be grading, verifying his own cards, and putting his name on top of the cards to try to add value. And he's selling it to the general public, trying to inflate the price. Like that's how corrupt. There's so many levels of corruption right there. And this is being pushed by Heritage Auctions, a company that historically has created shill data points to resell, you know, resell their products, resell their collectibles.
You know what I find is like a funny aside?
Yeah?
It's like the Jeff Ferreira collection. If you're like another collector, isn't it your collection after you buy it?
Exactly. Like what they did with the Joel Mick collection, like I said earlier, it's like that's narcissistic as hell. But at the very least, it's a piece that came from Joel Mick, and Joel Mick was involved and integrated into the fabric of Magic the Gathering lore. There was something there. He wasn't like 2 or 3 degrees separated from the game of Magic. He was on that team that released Alpha and play tested limited edition Alpha and Beta on limited Arabian Nights. Meanwhile, it's like
I just find it pretty funny that like I usually like you attach like names to things because they're descriptors.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're selling Christopher Rush things, it should be the Christopher Rush collection.
Well,
now.
I think his estate would have an issue with that, and Jeff couldn't do that, so they had to manufacture this nomenclature, manufacture this prestige, that if you're, you know, at least of average intelligence, you should not see any value or premium in. And again, this is what CGC is engaged in. I don't have time. We don't have time today. We haven't put together all the blocks of why CGC is literally the worst grading company to go with, but you can already see the Blackstone ethics just oozing through this company. Just good old private equity don't give a crap. Money, money, money. Show me the money and that's it. And it's just flowing through everywhere else. Also, again, you know, Jeff has had multiple posts where he's got CGC slabs and he's like, oh, look at these slabs. They're so great. All these CGC 10s. It's like, even if you didn't grade them yourself, you're an employee and a key member there, and you've got influence as a, you know, as a manager or as a senior consultant at the company. Like almost every other known grading company has conflict of interest safeguards in place to prevent this type of grifter shyster behavior. But leave it to Jeff. Leave it to CGC, leave it to a product like Magic 30 to be manipulated by the whole market. Even Magic 30, there's 1,000 people in a group. The head of the group, the sole admin is Tavis King, who normally I've respected in the past, but guess what? CGC grades a misprint Blastoise with the MTG back, a Pokemon card with an MTG back. It gets shilled up to $400,000. I hear that, you know, guess what? Mr. King apparently has 3 or 4 copies and they start getting sold for $300,000 plus. And there you see it. It all lines up with human incentive. You've got Heritage Auctions pumping the price. You've got CGC grading and overgrading and, you know, having this, you know, violating all sorts of conflict of interest concerns and just, you know, obfuscating and lying, you know, not being transparent with the market, not making the proper disclosures. And that's how you have, you know, the whole collectible side of Magic the Gathering tank. I'm in it for 7+ figures in Magic the Gathering, and I'm just like, you know what? It could all be going to zero because I have no interest in engaging it any further. That said, March 24th, 25th, do your very best to simply stay away from these type of sham auctions, guys. If we had anything to learn from the graded video games, WATA/Heritage Auctions, by the way, WATA owners are the same as the Heritage Auction owners. Like, big coincidence, right? Carl Jobst, you know, we should link that below. That literally happened. This is a second or third or fourth by now iteration of that whole Jim Halpern Heritage Auctions pumping and dumping scam. And it'll keep getting done. Just like Brian Nocenti, consultant to Heritage Auctions, you know, did a bad faith 6-figure deal in the parking lot of a Whole Foods and was busted for it and was charged for it. He's consulting on this lot, this prestigious crown jewel of the Jeff Ferrer collection. It's going to be so amazing. Anyways, watch out. Please don't get got because it's all shilled. It's all bullshit. And, I mean, it doesn't help my Magic the Gathering positions, but I would just stay the hell away. Hopefully, you guys learned something. Support this guy on Patreon because we have other financial principles and discuss other behind-the-scenes things on our Patreon. We call the programming the long game, 2 episodes per month for the, you know, low cost of $4.99. All the proceeds go towards Yuanji and his quest to become the Flesh and Blood national champion and world champion. I think that's all I got. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, twiddle that notification button, and we'll see you next time. Bye.